Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Seth Meyers, clinical psychologist, and I'm going to spend a little time today talking to you about a really important dating issue, something that often impacts people when they're dating someone seriously. And that is they start to get a little insecure. So, what often happens is two people start dating, they're dating a little while, and of course, everything is great. People talk about that often as the honeymoon phase. Well, after a little bit of time, sometimes you, if you're the one dating, may feel like the other person has changed. Something about their behavior has changed. It may be that they seem like they're not so interested in being physically affectionate with you anymore. It may seem that they are not initiating making plans with you, asking to get together as frequently. They may act different when they're around you, like they're bored or preoccupied, or like they even get annoyed with you. These are some of the behaviors that can sometimes change when two people are dating. I want to make the point that a lot of times people make the mistake in dating to think that they really know someone after a short period of time when they really don't. How long does it take for two people to truly get to know each other, to really, truly get to know each other? Honestly, it can take a lifetime. Ask people who are married for 20, 30, 40 years or longer, and they will often tell you they spent their whole life getting to know their partner. So if someone is dating somebody 3 months, 6 months, how well do they know that person? They may know them fairly well in some ways, but again, it takes time. It takes years, I believe, for two people to really, truly get to know each other well. So, when you're in a dating relationship and you feel like things have really changed, it's really important to do a few different things. Number one, don't panic. Do not panic. One of the main things that I have found in my career as a clinical psychologist, when people are in a dating relationship and the other person changes some of their behavior, the inclination is for the other person to panic, to have an alarmist response, and to go into a state of fear that the relationship will end, that the relationship is in trouble, and that the other person has feelings that have changed, and that the other person will never change back to the way they acted before. Panic, which is an anxiety response, is one of the worst things that you can do for your relationship. Why? Because when you go into a state of panic, it heightens your emotions. And when you have emotions that are too heightened, that are too extreme, it often can cloud your thinking and your judgment. And you can engage in what we call distorted thinking. You can have cognitive distortions. You can tell yourself things that are not necessarily true because your emotional reactions are telling you that something is really wrong. The second point that I want to make, a mistake that a lot of people make when they're dating someone and the other person changes how they're acting or behaving. Another factor is being sure that you know what it means. So clearly, you have seen a pattern of behavior. You have seen that the other person is changing how they're acting with you. Now, what sense do you make of it? What do you tell yourself about the change? What happens too often, and what is really bad for that dating relationship, is to believe that you know for sure what it means. So, examples of some things that you could tell yourself are: I know they're not interested in me anymore. I know that their feelings have changed. I believe that they are now interested in someone else. I think they're not attracted to me anymore. But here's the thing, it's not just like these are thoughts that you may feel when you get into this awkward sort of panicked period. The problem starts when you tell yourself it's true. You are sure, you are certain there's a problem. So, one thing that happens is a lot of times the person, if this is you, may say to the other person, listen, I know there's something wrong. I can tell. I'm sure there's something wrong. And it's almost like you can find yourself in a position where you are trying to convince the other person that there's a problem. Now, for the other person, there's often not a problem. And we'll talk about some of the reasons why a person may change their behavior in a moment. But when a person doesn't feel like there's a problem in the relationship, one of the things that can start a problem is the other person telling them, listen, I know there's a problem. No one wants to see the other person get really anxious or stressed out in a relationship. No one wants to make a problem any bigger in a relationship. And so it's really important, if you notice the person you're dating has changed in some way, it's really important for you to not panic, and also for you to not tell yourself that you are sure about what the change means. The truth is, when someone else changes, because it takes so long to get to know a person, and because a person can have so many different things going on in their life that cause them to feel the way they feel, there are a lot of different things that could be going on. And the truth is, you don't know. A lot of times, you don't really know what's going on and what caused the change. Something that's really important to do is to ask yourself, when the other person seems to have changed, how long this has gone on. Is it truly a pattern? And if it is a pattern, think, how long has this pattern gone on? Was this maybe a couple of days? Was it a week? Or was it longer? So, remember that moods can change a lot, and that people always have moods, and people have a lot going on in their lives. And sometimes people have things going on in their lives that they don't necessarily share. Things going on in their life that may have nothing to do with you, may have to do with other friendships they have, may have to do with family relationships, may have to do with other goals they're working on and they're not achieving and they're feeling frustrated, may have to do with just a mood change that they're dealing with. Maybe they're feeling a little bit more depressed or a little more anxious. There are many different factors that can impact how a person feels. So ask yourself how long this pattern has been going on. Really give someone, when you're dating them, a little space to go through occasional changes. If something lasts a few days, maybe even a week, it's really healthy to say, I will not panic. I will give that individual some space. Maybe they're just going through something. I'm not going to determine what is going on. And I'm also not necessarily going to ask them a million questions and maybe add to some pressure they feel. If the other person is going through something, dealing with something, the truth is we can't force people to talk to us or to tell us or to confide in us. The best thing you can do is to say, hey, I just wanted to check in. You seem a little different lately. I just wanted to make sure, is everything okay? You can always come and talk to me. Right there, that is enough. You have made an effort to communicate, and you have also let them know that you are there for support. And at that point, it's really up to the other person if there is something to share and what they want to share, and if so, when they want to share it. I keep saying this word space, and it's really important to think about that word. Two people in a healthy relationship will occasionally give each other some space to feel things, to go through small changes. And when people are ready, they will talk about it. People can't be forced to talk about things they're not comfortable with. And also, people can't be forced to be someone that they're not. As you get to know someone you're dating, the reality is maybe this is how this person copes with things sometimes. Maybe sometimes they can be a little inconsistent. Maybe sometimes their behavior will change a little bit. So giving the other person space is important. Now, in addition, it's also important that you remember that you need to focus ultimately on yourself. When the other person that you're dating seems to be going through a change, once you've decided to give them a little space, it's important for you to focus on your own life. focus on things that are productive. Maybe set a goal or two that you can focus on in the next week to distract yourself, something productive. Think about school or your career, or think about your home. Is there something that you have been putting off, a project? Could you actually take some of your nervous energy and let that energy propel you to work on a project that you have been putting off? Get something positive done. These are all things that you can do to try to keep the focus on yourself, to stay productive, and to remember that what matters is you getting to a place where you feel good again. What matters is you being able to manage your own emotions. And when you feel like the person that you're dating has changed for some reason and you don't yet know what's going to happen, you have the capacity and the ability and the emotional skills to say, I will do what I need to do to get back on the emotional beam. You can say to yourself things like, I am strong and I don't let another person, anyone, sway my feelings that extremely. You need to be an anchor in your own life, and you can do that. I hope this video has helped. And if it has, please like this video. And you can also subscribe to my podcast, Insight with Dr. Seth, where we gain insight into ourselves and others. So I wish you all the best.